It's 1 o'clock and welcome to Peace of Mind Home Inspections Friday Power Hour. We have this every Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. We'd like to welcome you, and we have a special guest on that is going to be taking us through this presentation today, and I'll be here as backup. Next week is the Wind Mitigation 101 with Dave Marvel, and he will be talking on the wind mitigation. So invite your friends, and we hope to see you back next week to learn everything you need to know and more about the wind mitigation. Nathan Thornberry is here for helping to present with the client protection expert. And Nathan, I'll let you take it away.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Sheila. And hopefully you can all see my screen and see the PowerPoint. Is that a true statement, Danae? Excellent. All right. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Client Protection Expert certification, it's a private certification. It's from Residential Warranty Services in Carmel, Indiana, and that's where I'm coming to you from today. Coincidentally, our partners at Peace of Mind in Sarasota, Bradenton, that market is where we have the most CPEs anywhere in the country. We've had 150 plus just from their live events, which we've done at like an American Legion one time. We did one at the YMCA in the men's bathroom. We had one at the Sarasota Bradenton Board of Realtors. It was the first time I ever had 3 screens, and so we love Sarasota. Without further ado, because I don't want to waste your time, it's a power hour. We're going to get right to it. I'm going to show you a room, and hopefully you don't see this room very often, but obviously it's a courtroom. And I want you to look at this for a moment and think about this in your real estate career, because there's that bailiff guy. And by the way, that's approximately the average physical condition of the average bailiff in America. They're not going to run you down, but they take your documents from one party to another, keep everybody in line, and hopefully you're not sitting in that defendant's chair ever. And reality in real estate is that liability is pretty rare in terms of a courtroom setting. The real liability is losing a client and losing the ongoing revenue from referrals from that client. What's the value of a single client and all of their referrals over a lifetime? It can be a lot of money. You might have some really great mavens, as they call them, in your real estate business that are worth $50 to $60 to $100,000 in gross commissions over a lifetime. So keep that in mind, that we're not just worried about liability like somebody suing you. We're worried about the true liability of somebody being dissatisfied, discontent, and having a horrible home buying experience. And the more you know, and the more tools you have to avoid that, the better. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to start with a situation, give a brief description, go to a question. And then for those on the call today live, it's being recorded, so we'll have people to see this later, of course. But for those of you on live, we'd love to have your input. Raise your hand, tell us which answer you like the best, and we'll see if you get it right. And here's the good news: even if you get all the answers wrong, you're still going to walk away with that CPE certification today, which includes a really snazzy pin, an awesome certificate, and some great digital marketing stuff. So let's get right to it. So most of you, hopefully, have had a home inspection experience before. Maybe you go to the inspection, maybe you don't. I can back it up both ways as being advisable. Some agents choose not to go because they don't want to influence the process. Some of them want to be there with their client every single time. Either way, totally respected. If you've been there though, and you've experienced this, you see those inspectors, they spend a lot of time right there, bent over underneath the kitchen sink. Now, why do they do that? It's not the most expensive stuff underneath the kitchen sink, but there's a lot of mechanicals. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. So they pay special attention, and this isn't the only spot in the house, but they pay special attention whenever there is a lot of mechanical components and a junction where there's a lot of things going on. So here's the question, so we can keep this thing moving. Do home inspectors move items that are inside cabinets to inspect the areas for signs of leaks, for damage to cabinetry, for mold? Do they do that? So your choices, it's multiple choice, so super simple. Always go with C if you're unsure, but it's either yes, no, or not required. Robin, Sandhya, I hope I got that correct. If either of you want to unmute your mics, or we can force the unmute. We can just hear what's going on at your house, your at-home schooling for your children, potentially, dogs barking in a COVID year. That's always great on a Zoom meeting. Which one is it? Yes, no, or it's not required? We'll wait for a response from at least one audience member before we move on. Oh, no.
We do have in the chat, we have a yes, we have a no. And
I can't see the chat. See, this was going to be, you know what? Danae, you can speak for them. I did perfect. Okay, great. You have a yes and a no.
And a not required.
We have all three answers. Well, that's great. Well, let's go through. Let's analyze those answers a little bit. So, it's not required. Number C was, or letter C was the answer we were looking for as being the most correct. But the other two, you weren't incorrect. You've probably seen somebody move it, so you'd be led to yes, especially if you had a home inspection with Peace of Mind Home Inspections, because it's not required that they do it, but oftentimes if it's not, a crazy mess, they're going to take the time to go above and beyond. So you've seen it, you've witnessed it, and that's why you were led to that answer. So keep referring Peace of Mind Home Inspections. If you got a no, well, it could have been because you saw one of these situations, okay? Just like too much stuff underneath the kitchen sink. A home inspector is not going to do that. We're not going to, move all your stuff and, pack it up in boxes. And by the way, I don't know why there's always Brillo pads in every picture of under a kitchen sink that I ever get from home inspectors. And I don't even know what they do. I think people buy them and just, leave them there forever. They probably made all of them in like 1955, never had to make another. But they're around, and what do they do? Does anybody know? Do you know, Danae? Have you ever used one?
No. What comes to mind is an SOS pad, but I don't know if that's.
Is it like an SOS pad? Is it like a one of those? Okay.
Well, honestly, it's escaping me. I'm not sure.
So it's like the non-brand SOS pad. Got it. Makes sense. So anyway, that's this is what it looks like. And by the way, when I say it's not required, that doesn't mean, again, that your inspector shouldn't do it. It is an extra level of care, and one that I know I've seen, because I've seen the pictures, that Peace of Mind goes above and beyond these standards of practice you can read at the bottom of your screen. And these standards of practice that I listed here are actually word for word from a industry association. They read virtually the same as the Florida standards. Jennifer Harris really rocking it right now with some Guns N' Roses. So take me down to the Paradise City right now. Some Axl Rose on the screen joining us for this. That's a first. I like her or him. I forget whether it's a her or him. I am not good with names. Anyway, it's not required. So keep that in mind as you advise your clients on home inspection matters. You can always attend the inspection, by the way. And as much as I respect both ways, I really feel like you should. I feel like you should because if you've done this long enough, if you've been involved in enough real estate transactions, you're going to run into a situation where words and even a picture that speaks 1,000 words doesn't get you quite to the finish line in advising your client and making sure that you understand the issue fully so that you can, and they're back. Jennifer Harris. There we go. It is. By the way, Jennifer Harris, that's great. Are you watching that and me at the same time? Is that possible? Because that would make Zoom more interesting for me every day through this this pandemic. Anyway, also, what can be missed in the example of the cabinet under the sink, we're dealing with not only a heavily used system, but we're dealing with easily damageable goods. You know, the base of that cabinet can be damaged by water very easily, and people don't like it. It's ugly, it's moldy, it's damp. So make sure that you utilize it. We've got a force mute Jennifer Harris for me there, Danae.
I'll keep an eye on that.
I think Jennifer's having fun with me right now. I feel like we know each other, or I don't know, maybe, who knows? So here's two things that you can do, though, to make sure that your clients are taken care of even better. Make sure you use Peace of Mind home inspections, because if your client moves in and they have a leak under the sink that wasn't there at the time of the inspection, that's going to be covered under their 90-day warranty. And by the way, even if there was stuff and they didn't move it, and your client moves in and finds mold that's within the home, within the visible components interior, without taking anything apart, under cabinet would qualify. That would be covered by their mold safe policy. And we've had, oh gosh, over all the years with Peace of Mind, I'd say at least 50, if not more, mold safe claims where we fixed mold issues after people moved in that were not visible. They were hidden behind a couch. They were under stuff in a cabinet. And you need to know, as a real estate agent, this is super important, that when your client moves in and they call you and they say, I have this problem, you need to know what the solution is. Don't be ignorant to this stuff. Know that they have a warranty from Peace of Mind. Know that they can call in and make a claim, because then they're going to have a better experience and refer you more. By the way, on the listing side, you know, you gotta tell your people to put away stuff that they don't want to end up in pictures and seen by the home inspector and the buyer and everything else. This is, you know, a pretty tame picture of an old magazine from a magazine publisher that is no longer with us. The classiest of the smut, but there's bad stuff that we run into as homes. We don't want to see that. Okay, just put it away. Put it in a storage unit or something. All right, next, let's get into some risk management for both a buyer and you as an agent. So let's say that you've just written an offer. Listing agent sends you an email and it has an attachment, and it's an inspection report from recently, like last week, last month. It's super recent, and I'll even make it juicier. The report you get is from your favorite home inspection company, Peace of Mind Home Inspections. Whoa. So pretty convenient that it was just inspected by Peace of Mind. In fact, Dave himself was right there. Dave and David. It was a double Dave. And they did this great inspection. It was 2 weeks ago, and you have a copy of it. So is it time to share that with your client? Do you share that report, or do they even get an inspection at all? That's the question. So should you share the report that was emailed to you by the listing agent with your buyer, regardless of who it was from? It was a recent report. It's on that house. The answers are absolutely not. Yes, of course you should, or it's illegal. They need their own inspection. Danae, how are people answering this? This is always a fun one. It's really fun in person.
Drum roll.
Yeah.
Anybody want to take a stab at it?
Oh, guess what? I have access to the chats.
Ah.
I can see it. All right. So, Danae, what would your answer be here? How about that? While we wait for them, they're asleep. You know, they're at home. It's COVID. I don't know. Montel Williams is on in the background. I don't know if he still has a show. Is that before your time, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
I think that that you should share it. We've got Robin Winston says you can see, but have your own inspection.
Ah, Robin, thank you. Man, stealing my thunder, Robin. We have, as usual, smart agents in Sarasota, Bradenton. Of course, they've been They've been working with Dave and Sheila for so long. How could they not be? So here's the deal. There are inspectors out there that are a little off. And they will come to you if you ever get a copy of one of their inspections, and they will say things like, oh my gosh, it's illegal for you to even have that inspection report. No, I'll never talk to you about it. It's copyrighted. Crazy stuff. I mean, just stuff that doesn't make any common sense. It's not logical. And you are absolutely right, Danae, as is Robin, that you absolutely should share that information. In fact, this is a big one. Let's just pretend with every buyer that you ever represent as a real estate agent that they are a relative, and that if you have information about that house, that you should share it. If it's in your email box, even if it's that report was from a while ago, or that appraisal was from a while ago, or whatever, share it. It's the right thing to do. And this is a real estate myth. There are some things you need to know. You should share that inspection report. But let's add a little caveat to that. You should also be getting a new inspection. And there's a few reasons for that. Let me show you a couple of pictures. This garage door here, as an example, looked really good 5 minutes before this picture. Everything has a moment where it breaks, or somebody runs into it, or a kid takes a baseball bat to it, or a dog bites it, or whatever. And also that water used to be clear at some point. So everything can change. And let me add one other thing, just for a few $100. I mean, that's what a home inspection usually is, a few $100. You get things like, 5 years of roof leak protection because you got an inspection with Peace of Mind home inspection. If I were just to walk around a neighborhood and knock on doors and say, hey, for $500 or $600 or whatever, I'll guarantee no leaks in your roof for the next 5 years. I'm just going to take a look around for a bit. I think I'd have a good number of people say, yeah, I'm ready to go. So the idea that it's not worth getting a home inspection, even if it's been, pre-listing inspected, certified, super red team inspection done or whatever, and it's on the kitchen island for your viewing pleasure. Nah, get your own inspection. And you get all of those warranties for your client. So when they call you later and say, hey, my roof's leaking, what are you going to do for me, real estate agent? Well, it's a good thing we use Peace of Mind. Call them, make a claim. You have 5 years of roof leak protection. So it is not unlawful, by the way, for you to receive or share an inspection report. If you are the listing agent, I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to make what is almost the real estate equivalent of a political statement right now. If you're the listing agent, and you get an inspection report, and for whatever reason that deal falls apart, and you have it, and somebody comes to you and it makes an offer, do you disclose it? The answer is yes, or get really good at typing, because you are now aware of every single line in that inspection report, and you have to disclose it. So either way, retype an inspection report, share it, your call. If the inspector that did that original report ever calls you and says, oh, you shouldn't have shared that, tell them to call Nathan Thornberry. We'll sort it out. So is it good to go sharing the report? Yeah, I think so. Now, there are very few things that can go wrong in a house that cost more to repair than a roof, really. For those of you on the call that are homeowners, go through the last 10 years, 20 years, however long you've owned a home, and take every non-insurance event and add them all up. I mean, it's not going to be too terribly much. Each individual item isn't going to be crazy, unless you have like one of those dual commercial Sub-Zeros that cost $12,000. Okay, when that thing breaks, that sucks. That's like buying a car. But the roof is usually more expensive than a plumbing line problem, than an HVAC problem. I mean, this is the big guy, and sort of a major structural issue in the foundation. So do home inspectors check for leaks in that roof system? Yes, they do. And sometimes we find leaks happening because it's raining. Sometimes it's dry and we don't see it. So that's why protection for it is very important. Sometimes we see evidence that there was leaks before. This is what we refer to in the industry as an attic pool. man, there have been so many variations of the attic pool over the years. It's like, why don't people just call and get their stuff fixed? Whatever. You may have a lot of confidence in your home inspector. In fact, if it's Dave, you probably have like an enormous amount of confidence in him. So I'm going to ask you a question. True or false? Can your home inspector, can Dave Marvel himself, predict a future roof leak? I'm going to get the faces going. To get you engaged, because they're watching Montel. They have us muted. They're like, I'm going to have my CPE certification over there while I'm doing this thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. And then maybe if I lit myself on fire, they'd all come screaming back. What's going on?
So we do have a maybe. He can give an educated guess, but no.
All right. So it's kind of a trick question. If you picked false, like, you're correct, because they're not going to be able to predict, there's going to be a leak at this juncture in the roof. Oh, look at this valley. The next hurricane that goes through and takes out somewhere south of us, we're gonna get extra rain and it's gonna leak there, on December 10th. No, they can't do that, but they can actually predict that it's going to leak, because eventually every roof leaks. So technically kind of true. There was no wrong answer here. But let's look at some typical damage from a roof leak real quick here. Roof leaks tend to start off small. It's just a little bit of discoloration, and then you start to live with it and accept it, or it was behind something. So people don't know sometimes. If we see that while we're doing an inspection, we're gonna call it out. If we see the tape ripping off the ceiling, we're gonna call that out, even though we didn't see a leak that day. Sometimes those wet stains turn into mold. So let's say that this didn't happen until after the inspection, or it didn't get noticed until after the inspection, or it just started showing itself right after the inspection, and the client calls you and says, well, agent, I did everything you asked me to do. You told me which house was going to be a good house for me and my family. You helped me write the offer. You filled in all those blanks. You told me how much to offer, or gave me some pricing guidance. You got a seller's disclosure, which was, coached by the other agent. You're both licensed. And then you told me that Peace of Mind Home Inspections was the best home inspection company in the world. And I had them out. And yet here I am. And I still have a roof leak. So what do? As a real estate agent, to any problem there is, any problem your client brings you, which 90+% of problems that a client ever brings you are going to be property condition issues. And this is really, really important, because, unless you're selling swampland, somewhere in the middle of Florida as if it's a resort property, okay, and committing fraud, your clients are not going to have too many problems. Like, they know what their mortgage payment's going to be. All right. That's no surprises there. But they hate it when their roofs leak. So what do you do when they call you? You have 4 choices. You can either you can write them a check. You can just say, yeah, I'm a most generous real estate agent in the history of real estate, and I'm going to write a check to solve all of your problems today. Sometimes they do. I actually posted a video yesterday of an agent that wanted to do that. I found it fascinating. So I wrote a check with her. Second option, you and or the clients can call the vendor, call the home inspector, call whoever it was that caused this or allegedly caused, perceptively caused this problem in their life. And you can beat them over the head. You can beat them over the head like Flintstone style, and see what happens, because that makes relationships go great. Or third option, you tell your client that it's just part of home ownership and it's a great day and they should go out and enjoy the park with their family, because, as real estate salespeople, as salespeople in general, we have a glass half full kind of mentality, and we're going to, have a positive outlook. Or the last one, this is my favorite. You have already arranged to have a solution, and that's what this course is all about. And it's about trying to make you aware of these kind of things. Check out the savvyagent.net as an example, as a resource, so you can get a little bit more to it. But I want you to in the 90% of occasions where somebody has a problem and it's a property condition issue, already have a solution. You know, always use peace of mind home inspections. That's really just the answer. But here, screenshot this. And then, you know, if for some reason your client says, I'm not going to use them, I found somebody else, send them this, screenshot this, send them this, and have them sign a document that says, I will never call you if something goes wrong in my house because I made a really dumb decision. Okay, just have them sign a document that says that. All right, so inspectors run the faucets at every bathroom, kitchen, laundry sink, even bidet. They have to test, but you got to sit on it in order to do that. That test is a little bit more complex, you know, because the water's going up. You know, this is something every inspector does, and they should. In addition to checking whether there are any leaks, and they do, you know, do they check underground lines to see if they're clogged? Do they? You know, and most buyers believe that they do. And if it's a local clog, if it's just like one sink that's clogged, yeah, it's pretty easy to deal with. If the whole house is clogged and visibly clogged at the time of inspection, if they run some water and you don't have to run much because it's already clogged and people were running water and it just backs up everywhere in the house, they're going to know. They're going to call a listing agent and say, hey, there's a mess to clean up. But most of the times it'll fill in that sewer line. And, you know, a sewer line can be pretty big around. I mean, we're talking 6 inches. And you take that times 40 feet. It's probably, I don't know, 150 to 200 gallons worth of water that fits in that space. So you can run a lot of water to a completely clogged or collapsed line and it'll still flow. So keep that in mind, that especially if you're looking at an older property, if it's 40 years old, get a sewer camera inspection. Peace of Mind offers those, do they not, Danae? Yes.
We do. We got a
Yeah.
guy.
And how much do they? How much do you charge for that?
That is something that we bring in. Sheila would have a better answer.
Sheila has an answer involving a number, does she? Yes.
Yep, depending on the square footage and bathrooms, etc., but an average is $300 to $400.
For the sewer camera?
Correct.
Okay.
And that includes video, and that goes on, they go on the roof and inside of the house. Some folks just do one or the other.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, okay. So I ask this question a lot when I'm doing the CPE certification, and you're right. So there are sewer cameras that are done where you're just pulling, you know, the clean out and just going from there, which doesn't get anything prior to. And this is interesting. So you're going there so that you can get the full length all the way out to the street, and they're going up on the roof. And you know, if for those of you watching this that have never been on your roof, if you look up there, you'll see a few pipes sticking out. Those are vents. And you can run a camera down that and go all the way through the house's drain line system. Brilliant. So I'm going to give you like 3 scenarios where you definitely want to get a sewer camera inspection. Okay. So this is super simple. If it's 30, 40 plus years old, get a sewer camera inspection. If it's 15, 20 plus years old and there's one of those giant trees in the front yard, you might want to get a sewer camera inspection. If there is some indication that there has been a problem, and people are not that smart, like, you know, if they have one of those tablets that they buy at the hardware store that's supposed to like get rid of tree roots, as an example, and it says it right on the label what it does. You find one of those around, tell them you want a sewer camera inspection right now, and the sellers leave it. It's in their garage. It's like that Rid-X stuff, whatever. So if you look for that, if you find it, get a sewer camera inspection. But if you have a newer house and there's really no indication that there's a need and that the ROI probably wouldn't be that good, we totally understand. And guess what we do? We're going to skip the question because, you know, by now you understand, since we, you know, offer it as a service, that's not included in the inspection. They do run the water, right? So there is a test every time. And when it goes bad, it goes bad. That's why every single inspection comes with a sewer guard policy. So if your client has a problem after they move in, we'll fix it. Make sure you know that. Make sure your clients, when they move in, this is about 1 in every 700 homes in this country, somebody moves in within 30 to 60 days, their home's full of poo. Okay, just poo everywhere. And they call their real estate agent, and their agent goes, I don't know what to tell you. No, have a solution. Next. We'll skip over that. So here's the situation. We're going to skip over that. Inspectors, by the way, are not, this is directly from the standards of practice. They're not required to inspect underground items. So know that if you're not utilizing Peace of Mind home inspections, not only are they not checking it, some of them don't even offer to check it and go above and beyond with the sewer camera, but they're definitely not responsible when your client moves in and their home's full of poo. Think about that. Think about your home being full of poo and your client's home being full of poo all day long today. Next, also part of the standards is that they're not required to offer warranties or guarantees. It's only the exceptional and usually the largest inspectors in the marketplace, which is, Peace of Mind is clearly in that category. Oh, here's a great one. So this is more of an issue when we get into New England, Northeast, Indiana, where I'm from here. You guys have some older homes, like Henry Ford's estate is down there. That's from really long ago. But generally, Florida homes aren't really, really old. So this question might not apply to you much. I'm just going to show you the picture. This is a boiler that we have under warranty in the Northeast in New England. And it's like 100 years old. It's running like a champ. And every component on that thing, short of a couple, are replaceable components. There is no such thing as an age limit for an air conditioner, for an HVAC system. It's, what broke today. So think about that, because many of you are going to get home warranties at closing for your buyers when they purchase a home. And if you go through the inspection process and you see the inspector says, hey, there's a older system here and we recommend it be serviced and checked and that sort of thing, make sure that your response to the seller doesn't just lead them to having the unit cleaned with the blinders on and moving on. No, if they're saying that they don't care if it's old. They care if it's indicating, if there's an indication that there could be a further problem. So I've written something for you, real estate agents. I want you to take a screenshot of this. And in fact, we actually send this in the email when you get your CPE certification to everybody. So you have this at the ready. This is my response line to that note. Whenever the inspector says, have this thing checked and serviced, you say, buyer requests seller to have a qualified HVAC professional service the system and do a thorough inspection of all these components. And they got to put it in writing, not just 65 bucks we cleaned it and get out of there. No, you want that right there. So I'm going to leave it up, screenshot or pause it. You're probably going to see this on YouTube later. What am I talking about? You can pause it. We'll move on. All right. So this accomplishes a few things, by the way. The seller is on notice. Your buyer now has recourse against an HVAC company after they move in, and everybody goes, oh, I was just there to clean. No, my friend. You were there to check that unit out. Like I said, I'll send you that verbiage. So how old does an HVAC system need to be in order to be defective based solely on age? Well, this is a trick question because none of them are really correct. There's that boiler again. Now, if I'm the listing agent, I'm going to tell you to provide me with a defect. So sometimes this gets a little hairy in the real estate transaction. Let's say I have Peace of Mind doing inspection. They say that here's a unit that's old and it's got some indications of problems. You should have it further checked. And I say to the listing agent, hey, have this thing further checked. Listing agent looks at it and goes, wait a second. You're just asking me to subsidize and pay for more inspections. That guy didn't have enough qualifications, certifications, experience, specialization, and time, or enough of your money to go and check that furnace. So now you want me to pay for somebody to do that? I don't know. That can get into a back and forth. So what happens when the buyer moves in and then they have a clean and tune done by a contractor who says, you got to replace the unit. Man, you should have an answer to this, real estate agents, because this is coming to you. If it has not yet, it's coming to you. And when that happens, you have to slow them down. That's the first thing. You slow it down, take a breath, tell them to do the same, and don't let the contractor that at that moment is selling thousands of dollars worth of equipment guide the process, right? You take control. That's why you're the real estate agent. You're there to solve their marriage problems. You're there to help them find a house. You're there to help them find a babysitter, and you're there to help them in this situation too. Okay, so this is your job. You got to tell them, stop, take it slow it down. Let's get a couple of different estimates. Let's see what the actual repair need is and what component failed today. Then look into warranty coverages. And if you need a guide to that, call into the office of Peace of Mind Home Inspections or call into my office. We'll be happy to guide you through it. And then get every penny possible out of the warranty, and then make a great decision on what you do. Hey, sometimes the warranty covers a required repair, like replacing a blower motor as an example, but it could be an older unit and maybe it's the right time to replace it. Take that money, put it towards a new unit. We're fine. Lots of people do it. Get a couple of bids. When it comes to big equipment and really anything in the home that's thousands of dollars, always get multiple bids and only proceed after all of that is done. Now, we're going to skip because it's 40 minutes in, and I don't know what else Sheila and Danae want to talk about. All right, so I did something very special. I took out a few of these questions. I gave you guys the credit for it because, you know, they're pretty much the same. You get the point now. Let me give you one last question. Which building code applies to a home? Because, man, this confuses buyers. This confuses agents. Everybody read this question and answer. Is it the current code adopted by your state and municipality? Is it the code from the year the house was built or last improved? Or is it the code of Hammurabi? Which code sounds best? Danae, is anybody still, should I, number two? Everybody's answering number two. All right.
And another number two.
All right, good. Well, you know what? I'm glad to hear it because growing up in the home inspection business, and you know, there was no introduction to me. I'm just a crazy guy on your computer screen right now. Let's let that be the case forever, for now and forevermore. But the first time I was aware of this issue, I had to be single digits, 9, maybe going on 10. And it's amazing how many people, particularly contractors, will come into a home at some point and say, you got to do this. You have to do this because this is required by code. And that thing that might be required by code is, a GFCI at a particular location, right? And I think in Florida, I think people tend to get this issue a little bit better than they do in other states because, every once in a while they go out to a barrier island, they see all the new homes being built up on stilts, and, they see the older homes that are not on stilts or on shorter stilts, and they don't say to themselves, well, when are they going to come by and lift that house up on the stilts? Because that doesn't make any sense. So maybe in Florida, there's, some logic built into the process, but it is, in fact, the code from the year the house was built or improved. Hammurabi's code, by the way, I think we should bring it back into play. Are you familiar with it, Danae?
I think I'm not. Enlighten me.
So it's this old language. It's like Aramaic or something that it was written in. So it's really hard to translate, but some have translated it right here as this: if a builder builds a house for someone and does not construct it properly, and the house which he built falls in and kills its owner, then that builder shall be put to death. I've seen another translation where if it falls and kills somebody's child, that then your child shall be put to death. So, who knows what they meant by their hieroglyphics or whatever. But this was written 500 years prior to the 10 Commandments. So you could still murder, but you better build a house right.
Yeah.
So this current code, that's what applies. We can go back to Hammurabi at some point, but inspectors don't, this is a weird thing. I'm sorry to every home inspector that's going to watch this and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that. Home inspectors love to tell you that they don't inspect for codes, but there are so many things that they call out that are in fact based on codes. And because of the credibility need of your inspection report, the need of your agent in the real estate transaction process to be able to say, here's this inspection report, seller fixed these things, and negotiate that. You know, it has to have some basis in reality. It can't just be 100% subjective. I'm the home inspector, here's my damn opinion. So a lot of it's based on code. Don't let them trick you and say that they don't at all, because they do, but they sort of don't. Right? They're not required to go through, and in reality, the code books are worse than the tax code to give you a frame of reference for that. So anyway, here you go. That's it. That's all I'm good right there. If we want to stop right there, because this is code stuff, we're at 45 minutes in. It was like an accelerated hour of power, and it was just me talking. I want some other human interaction. It's been a long COVID year.
That was awesome, Nathan. Thank you so much. I will just share, I just helped an agent the other day she called me and needed help with the HVAC language. She wasn't quite sure what to put in the addendum going back to the sellers. So I said, I have just the language for you, and sent it over, and it helped her tremendously. So
excellent. Well, we touched on everything that we needed to today.
Anybody have any questions? No questions today.
None at all. We hit it that well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did a great job. So the next step is we will get you an email sent out with some information, and then you will get a packet in the mail. So watch for that. I always say give it about 2 weeks. The mail service, it can be a little slow at this time of year. So give it about 2 weeks.
Plus my staff can be a little bit slow.
Oh,
too.
Really?
Yeah, we get behind every once in a while.
They do a great job.
I got something for Dave here. I just finished it up.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I'm gonna frame it and send it to him. Just a little picture of me
that's
with
so
my
cool.
signature on it. I just, I thought he would, might hang it up somewhere.
Absolutely. Right in the front office, I'm sure. That's so cool.
One for you, Danae? Would you like one? All right, cool.
Maybe we can get 2 in that packet.
All
That's
right.
awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining Peace of Mind Power Hour. And again, every Friday, 1 to 2, invite your friends. We'd love to have you. Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you. Same.
Thanks, y'all.
Take care.